Hey everyone and welcome. You're listening to the next episode of Turn Zero Drive Home Edition. This is a solo Marble Snap podcast where I talk about all the info you need before you start the first turn of a game while I drive home from work. I'm your host August, and let's drive home. Okay, so patch day today, super exciting data mines to talk about. It looks like we're going to have a whole season based around like the age of Apocalypse, like Apocalypse being like the X-Men villain from ancient Egypt times with his 4 horsemen. But not only is it this season, it looks like based on the data mines, we have names for characters in the April season that would also be a part of this. So it looks like we're going to have another one of those kind of 2-part seasons. Last year we had the Fantastic Four First Steps, and then the season after that was the First Steps Galactus with the Heralds. So it looks like we're doing something similar to that for this one. But we only have abilities and stats for the ones in the March season. So we're gonna be talking about those today. And it's really exciting because it also comes with like a brand new keyword. So we're gonna dive into that right now. The keyword is called objective. So let's look at our season pass card because that'll help us understand what this objective means. So the first card of the month is En Sabah Nur. He is a 4/5 with objective. Have a full front row at each location, then transform into Apocalypse Celestials Chosen. We'll stop there for a second just so we can explain objective. So what objective is, based on data mines, again, like everything we're going to talk about today, data mines are subject to change. We don't have the full information because it hasn't been officially announced. So there could be some small nuances that we missed. There could be some major things that just don't make any sense. And we'll get clarity on later. But for now, we see what we got, right? So with objective, what it is that you have like a goal that you're supposed to work towards. And then once you've accomplished that goal, at the end of the turn, you will get the reward. So in the case of our season pass card here, we have to have a full front row at each location. So that's going to be the first 2 cards in the first, second, and third lane. And then once you have that, at the end of that turn that you do that, it'll transform Apocalypse. He then becomes a 4/7 on reveal. Swap the lowest power card in your front row at any location with a card in your deck. So just first impressions on this. I think the objective part is going to be pretty easy to do, especially if you have a deck like Thanos, even, or just like any deck that you want to play a lot of small things relatively soon throughout the game. Like you're going to be able to play that and then fill up your row. It's worth noting that this objective, like he needs to be on the board for the objective to work as well, as far as we can see. So you'll have to play your 4-cost, En Sabah Nur, and then be able to also have a full front row for him to trigger. And then when he does trigger, he on reveals and swaps out one of those cards that you filled up to make that objective into something from your deck. I'm super excited about objective, but this specific objective, I'm not sure how I'm going to like. Note how it doesn't say like that it's a different location, right? It could be any location. So you could be swapping a card out of a location that you're winning and get something weaker, or you could swap something in a location you're already guaranteed to win, and it doesn't actually affect the outcome of anything. It also doesn't have any kind of stipulation on what's being swapped. Like it doesn't say to bring out a card that costs more or stronger power. So it's very random. It's like one of those cards that when you play it, you're not exactly sure what the outcome's going to be, and so it might help you in a few instances. It might not, right? Whether it's going to be like a competitive card, that's hard to say, but it is a pretty good showing of what objective is, in my opinion. It's got like a clear goal, and then it's got a reward that's based off of that goal. Following that, the next card is Isca the Unbeaten. So Isca the Unbeaten is a 3/2, end of turn. If you're losing this location, double this card's power. This one I like a lot. Oh yeah, shocker, August likes the card that doubles. But this guy, I think, is going to be interesting because it's one that you don't really want to put on board early, right? And let me talk about why I think that. So it says if you're losing the location, you double its power, right? And it's end of turn, so that can happen multiple times. But that then becomes something that your opponent controls, right? So you play on your side of the board, and if you're losing, it doubles. It goes to a 3/4. From there on, your opponent will then be able to know, okay, do I want to let them double? Then I just don't have to like wait to lose until the end. Or it's like, oh, okay, I know what kind of point output they're going to have because the doubling is all under my control. My thought with Isca is if you keep it in hand and buff it a bunch, then when you finally do play it, you're going to be able to know exactly what you're planning on doing. Let's say you've hit it with Gwenpool, right? Let's say you've hit it with, for argument's sake, Nokia, right? It's got a bit of extra power. Maybe now it's a 3/5. You play it in a location that you're losing only a little bit by, and then you know it's going to double to a 3/10. On the final turn, that's great. That's how you flip lanes, right? Like you wait and surprise the opponent with it. If you're trying to get too much value out of it by playing it early, then it becomes sort of like a weird Human Torch first steps, where like they both triggered off of end of turn and they both triggered off of doubling, but the one condition was easier to fulfill and more under your control, and we don't see much of Human Torch played, to be honest. The other part of the comparison there is that Isca is a 3 cost, so this is a Surfer card, or it could be, right? Does Surfer need another big stat stick like this that's kind of uncontrollable? I don't know. That being said, though, I think there's a lot of potential on this. Other synergies or stuff like Agony, where you play this on top of an Agony lane, or you play this with like Maverick. Like anything that you can pass power to then double again is going to be big. Next card we're talking about is Juggernaut, Horseman of War. So Juggernaut is a 2/2 objective. Have 7 different powers among your other cards in play, and then you get +6 power. So, again, objective, we got to have 7 different cards among other cards. So it's not counting Juggernaut. So you have Juggernaut out, and then on your board you have 7 other cards with different power. Then at the end of the turn, Juggernaut will gain 6 power. This is, it happens one time, so it's not the kind of thing you can try and do multiple turns. It's also not ongoing. So it's green power. This is a boosted power that you're going to get, which can mean it can be removed by Shadow King. Okay, that's important to note. That being said, this is a 2/8, as long as you're playing the game, it seems like. I think of most decks, you're not, unless you're a Cerebro deck, you're specifically not looking at the power of your cost of your deck and being like, oh, I can't play another 4 power card, I have too many of those. Like, you're just playing cards. You're playing cards that synergize with each other and work towards some kind of goal. And for the most part, you'll find that they're different in power. So I feel like this is a pretty easy objective to accomplish. And because of that, the reward that you get is relatively simple, just extra power. 2/8 is really good stats. We're seeing a lot of experimentation with Wild Child at the moment, and that could be a 2/9. And so we're seeing the kind of push and pull on like how much can we get out of a 2 cost out of doing small incremental things. Next up is the card that I know a lot of people are waiting to find out what it is. So this is Gambit, Horseman of Death. If you're playing Snap right now, you are feeling the original Gambit. He seems to be popping up in more and more decks that aren't just dedicated to discard. You're just going to see him randomly out there throwing and destroying a card. And so when people heard that there was another Gambit coming out, people were starting to get worried, myself included. But here we go. I really like this one. So Gambit, Horseman of Death, 3/4. Objective, play 6 total cost of created cards, then randomly destroy up to 4 total cost of enemy cards. Okay, so yes, it is destroying more on the board. It's more destroy stuff, and it's probably destroying more than 1 card. But unlike original Gambit, this isn't the kind of thing that you can exploit as hard. Original Gambit has those decks where you play it with like Wong and Swarm and Odin, and you just obliterate their entire side. That's not possible with this because the objective only happens once. The objective happens once, and it's specifically destroying up to 4 total cost of enemy cards. So you're not going to get like you're not going to be able to get many key things out of this. You're not going to be sniping those big game-winning 5s or 6s. It's more for those kind of incremental value cards, like trying to get, hitting the small stuff that accumulates over time. I still really like this, and I think that the objective is going to be super easy. Why? Because, all right, here's the secret, guys. Here's the one that people are going to, either you're going to see it right away, or you're going to have to be thinking about it. But here it is. Mysterio creates a created card on each lane, and they all cost 2. So just one single Mysterio puts out 3, a total cost of 6, and that'll fulfill Gambit's objective. All right. Next up, we got a Series 4 card. It's a skill. This is Sandstorm. It's 2-cost skill. On reveal, add 2 rocks to your hand. Give them +1 power for each of your front row characters. So this is another card that synergizes with the front row. We saw the season pass Apocalypse also looking to do stuff with the front row. There isn't many synergies yet for cards like for rocks. Like for your own rocks. There's a lot of things that put rocks in your opponent's deck, but not stuff currently that reward you for having your own rocks. Mole Man creates rocks for yourself. Debris also makes them on the board. This is giving you 2 more in hand. So basically, you can think of it as just like, how do I create some 1-costs, some created cards? What would I need that for? Victoria Hand, that kind of stuff. This will be more interesting with another card that's coming up. I might as well just talk about it now. It's another Series 4 card called Ozymandias. So he's a 5/10, but his ongoing ability says your rocks have +3 power. So this is why you're suddenly going to want to have some kind of rock synergies, because you got a 5/10 that is buffing them all by 3. So this is where you suddenly are like, okay, I want a bunch of 1-cost rocks that I can just spam out and make them huge. And so together with Ozymandias and Sandstorm together as the 2 Series 4 cards for this month are they're going to be working together. Whether we're going to see like rock decks, I don't know. It might just be more beneficial to play things like Debris that make it's a 3/7 on body and makes 2 rocks, or Rhino, as opposed to just like Sandstorm creating them in your hand. But yeah, going back to our Series 5 cards, we have Caliban, Horseman of Pestilence. He's a 3/4 objective. Have 3 cards that are 4-cost or higher in play, and then afflict the highest cost enemy card with -7 power. So this is a little bit like Omega Sentinel, where it's specifically targeting the highest power card. This one is targeting the highest cost, and it's giving them -7. So no matter where they are on the board, highest cost enemy card, -7. Unlike Omega Sentinel, the theme of objective is that you can't do it multiple times, right? So we're going to see a lot in Marvel Snap right now is about how can we copy abilities multiple times. Stuff like Jocasta, stuff like Wong. How can we do things multiple times? And objective doesn't really have that yet because it's brand new, right? The best way you're going to be able to copy something like that is with like Prodigy, and that might always be the best like winning strategy here. -7 affliction on the highest cost thing is most likely going to make that highest cost thing not winning the lane for your opponent. So even just being able to do it once is probably good enough. On a 3-cost card, this should be fine to do. It shouldn't be too hard to like weave into curves and like in affliction-based decks. The thing is the objective. It's having 3 cards with 4-cost or higher in play. That's not really something that affliction decks do a lot of. It's mostly just like Man-Thing and Ajax, and that's pretty much it. You might have to pair it with a deck that does stuff like Anti-Venom Luke Cage. So if you can manage to get out all these cards, then you hit the objective. With it being a 3-cost himself, though, that basically means you're going to go 3-cost Caliban and then 4, 5, 6. So your turns are getting pretty limited. So I don't know if this one is worth like the effort, right? This objective is probably the hardest one we've talked about so far, and it's probably not one that's really worth building around, in my opinion. After Caliban is Selene, Horseman of Famine. So Selene is a 4/3 with objective, have 3 cards with no abilities in play, steal 5 power from an enemy card here. This one I like. This one, if we're going to talk about affliction strategies, this one is so much better. So you're stealing 5 power. So it turns Selene into a 4/8 herself with -5 on the other side. So that's a swing of, that's about 4/13 of effective power there. And the objective is super easy, in my opinion. Have 3 cards with no abilities. Okay, so if you'll notice, we talked about Gambit using Mysterio to fulfill his condition. So Mysterio not only makes creative cards, it makes cards with no abilities. So this Selene will also get her objective fulfilled from just one single Mysterio. So that synergy package right there, Mysterio, Selene, Gambit, I think is going to be something we're going to see a bunch of. The last card that we have information on is probably the coolest design I've seen in Marvel Snap. So this is Ramatut. It's a 4/5 with on reveal. Use 3 on reveals from cards released before Ramatut's time. What does that mean? Okay, so Ramatut, for those that don't know the comics, is one of the forms that Kang has. So this is Kang the Conqueror all the way back in ancient Egypt. He's come to kind of take it over with his time travel shenanigans, right? Okay, so like Kang in the game, where Kang can he puts 4 copies of himself with different abilities in, Ramatut uses 3 different on reveals when you play him. The trick is, though, that we're trying to figure out is what cards released before his time. Like, I think it means released before, like, Ramatut was released, like his time in the game. The data mines, again, this is still very new and we're still trying to figure things out, but it looks like there's a list of about 106 cards that it can pull from, and I will be I'll be making a graphic to show off all those cards as soon as I can. But it looks like it's not every on reveal, right? Because there's quite a bit more on reveals than just 106. This sounds crazy, right? Like, you play it and 3 random abilities go off. You're not going to know what's happening. Hopefully this lets you know before you play it what they are, but that'd be so great if you click on the card and it shows you the 3 that you're going to do. That would be a phenomenal card. But if it's just all pure random, then I don't know how competitive it's going to be, but man, is it going to be the kind of thing your opponent cannot predict. In the competitive sense, we talk a lot about asymmetry of information. So it's the reason why Arishem is so good, because Arishem hides the randomness from your opponent. Ramatut would be something similar. Anyway, very excited about all these cards. Let me know what you guys think about these. This is my first impressions reading them for the first time. Let me know what you guys think about the March season. We got a lot more data mines of bundles and variants and stuff over at SnapFan. Check it out. I'll have a link in the description, and let us know what you're excited for. Thanks.